Hello. I apologise for the terrifying image on your screens, but it seems like it works. How about that then? Well, I say seems like it works. Try this new computery doodad thingy with the new BeLive stuff. I don't know if anybody's out there. Can anybody hear me? Hello? Ah, it actually works. I've got Rob. Hello, Jane. Hello, Neshi. Well, Smokes, your camera and sound are really good. Grand. Well, thank you, Neshi. However, simply because the camera is really good, or the image is good, means you get this, which is really terrifying clarity. Anyway, hello, everybody. Oh, so what's happening? What's going on? I'm thinking of Bob. I'm distracted by comments, as I usually am. But anyway. So, so this month, which was last week, things went a little awry last week, as you already know, but everything's cool and groovy. So we're doing last week this week, which means absolutely nothing at all, really. So let's just crack on. So, where was I? The ancestors. That's the idea that popped into my head, and we've got Polly as well. Hello. I'm just trying to get my thoughts in order because figuring out this new computery thingy just fried my brain slightly, but I think I'll be fine. I've got my giant blue rock, so all will be good. Anyway, so ancestors connecting with stones, crystals, etc. Let's groovier than Greg Brady. Problem is, Rob, I don't know who Greg Brady is. So that's just confusing. The ancestors. Our ancestors. We hear a lot about this as we're going along, learning what we learn. And I thought maybe it would be a good idea to have a little chat about them from my perspective, as in, how do we connect with them, and what can help us do that? Hang on, what's going on here? Oh, the Brady Bunch. Never seen it. Not one episode ever. Anyway, see, distracted brain. So yes, my thoughts on the subject of our ancestors. Why it's a good idea to connect with them, work with them, ask for their assistance, and how we may do that. There's loads of methods, but I'm going to keep it on the simple side of things, as I generally try to do, because I'm a simple kind of guy. So, first thing I think we should consider is who our ancestors are. Rather, let me qualify that by saying which ancestors we're trying to connect with. The reason I say that is because over the past few centuries, many of the people that have been in one place are now in another. We've been moving around the world for such a long time now. We're all more interconnected and have multiple lines of ancestry. Now, my thoughts on that is that's a good thing because, you know, it kind of helps us understand each other a little bit better. Should we choose to try and understand each other a bit better? So for the sake of argument, we have somebody from Europe in the whenever, the 1900s, 1800s. Let's go back a bit further. Someone in Europe from the 1800s moves to America. Well, that person has a particular line of ancestry in Europe, but should they marry someone from the US? Perhaps they will marry somebody and have children who have, well, this other person has a different line of ancestry, so their offspring has two different lines of ancestry that they can follow should they choose to, etc. So we kind of need to think, which ancestors do we want to work with? And we can work with any and all, depends on the situation that we find ourselves in. Maybe, perhaps, excuse me, a bit sniffly today. Perhaps one particular ancestral line has knowledge and wisdom that would serve you in one way, whereas another line would serve you in another. So we, rather than working with the ancestors as being an amorphous blob of a concept, we should really drill down a bit more and become a little bit more specific in what we're trying to achieve with the work that we're doing with their assistance. I think that makes sense. Have I got more people? Oh, there's more. Rob agrees. Yes, some get hung up on subdivisions, indeed. But there are those subdivisions there. But, like I was just saying, because I kind of get mixed up with where I'm pointing the pointery thing on the computer and how it moves up and down. It's a bit weird now. Mind you, I didn't really know how the other one worked. But anyway, the subdivisions, as in the ancestral lines within those, can be useful to work with in specific ways. Not that one is any more effective than another, not that one is any more important than another. It's just that we can work with them in particular ways better on one level or another in one way, and in another way better in that way. So it makes sense to me anyway. So for myself, I know the two lines of ancestry that I would work with most of all are through Ireland and through Wales. My grandfather on my mother's side came from Wales. My great grandfather on my father's side came from Northern Ireland. So I know this as a fact. So, and I can, should I choose to, take those further and become more specific to particular areas and so on and so on and so on. But for now, that'll do. I haven't got the time or the opportunity to investigate it any more deeply than that as yet. But that's what time is for, and we'll get there eventually. So that's me. That's what I can do. I know where they're going. So I have a particular affiliation with the stories from Ireland, with the stories from Wales. There are those of you out there who are more particularly connected to the stories of Scandinavia, Eastern Europe, Australia, North America, South America, Canada. Oh, that's still North America. I say Canada because it just sounds funny than Canada, and that's just me. Not insulting anybody. It's just, whatever. And so on and so on and so on and so on. So, but we need to find those connections and those lines so that we can work with them more effective, I think, more effectively than just calling upon the ancestors. So for myself, I can call upon my Welsh ancestry, or I can call upon my Irish ancestry. They have specific knowledge and wisdom that they can impart should I need it, should I seek it. And there we go, Canada it is, exactly, Canada. What was I saying? So, where does your ancestry lie? Now, you don't need to make comments about it, it's entirely yours. It's just that having that knowledge can help us more effectively than just calling upon the ancestors, because, anybody might turn up. You never know. Oh, I never noticed that. New messages below. Ah, there we go. Dibby. This is difficult, so I'm going to be doing this a lot today as I'm trying to read things. So, Neshi's got, what tips can you give those who are adopted and may not know their ancestry? Right, we'll come back to that one in a sec. What's that? Some of them think maple leaves are blue. I'm not getting the reference. And, oops, the Canucks love you. Which ones? Jane actually comes from Manchester, where I was born as well. She's one of my druid buddies. Hey, Jane. Anyway, right, let's go to Nessie. There it is. Click. So, adopted and may not know their ancestry. Now, that one's a toughie in some ways. So, we can get a bit generalized. What I mean is, I know, and I'm trying to be really, really careful with how I'm going to say this. Now, I myself can look in the mirror and start from a place of, I know I'm from somewhere in Europe. My earlier ancestry is somewhere from Europe. There we go. Most of us can identify an early ancestry, whether it be Africa, Australia, Europe, North, South America, etc. So I would start with that. Now, if you are adopted and you know your adoption, if you know you are adopted, then if you don't need to be in contact with a birth family, if you see, I'm not adopted, so I don't know the technicalities. But if you know that you're adopted and you know the name of the birth family, then it's fairly technical. It's more of a technical. What's the word I'm looking for? Tell me the word. Tell me the word. Um, um, oh, yeah. You can figure out from the names where the families could have originated. If you've got a Scandinavian birth family name, you can trace back somewhere in Scandinavia. If you've got the name Smith, it's you could be fairly confident it's possibly British. If you have if there's a French name in there, you can trace back to a more specific area of France. So there are, I wouldn't say guess your way there, but you can reasonably assume a line that can take you to either, if you don't know your birth family origins, you can generalize it, which is maybe not the most ideal option, but it is an option if you do know of a name, then you can start working backwards and working it out along the way. I'll come back to these. So we can make good guesses simply because of our own physical selves. That can help us if we don't have the information there. Anyway, that may have been absolutely no help whatsoever. So, if it was, let me know. Okay, right. I'm going to jump several comments down back to Neshi and what she's just said here. Suppose people could take an ancestry.com, blah, blah, blah. I did and found a small percentage of German descent. I never knew that I had that wisdom in my blood and bones. So that is the other one, the DNA thingies, which, you know, I, from a personal perspective, I don't want to do because I don't know what they're doing with it. I'm a bit. I wouldn't like to say I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I'm very suspicious of a lot of modern stuff. You may have guessed this by now. But it is another good way of doing it. I hadn't thought of that because it's sciencey, technical stuff that I wasn't looking at. Anyway, so yeah, that is another good option. So I'm going to jump back up a bit now to see. Where am I? Right. Maple Blue is possibly a shocking reference. Thank you, Jane. Doobie-doobie-doo. Right. What's Rob? Rob, recent ancestry. Maternal line moved from county down to Canada in the early 19th century. The Scots moved and married into the line in the 18th century. They moved to Michigan in the 20th century. So you've got a specific line there, Rob. So it's something that you can work with quite specific, quite happily. Right, there we go. So, okay, I've missed a lot of comments, so I'm sorry. Anyway, so there is always options depending on how technical you want to be with it. If you just want something very simple, just do that first thing, look at yourself and see, well, I've got an idea there. Or you can go down and be very specific and do the DNA things and stuff like that. So then, when you've got an idea of what areas you want to, what lines you want to explore, then you can call directly to that line of ancestry. And a lot of that is done within meditation. That can be done within dreams. It can be done with the help of stones and crystals. I will bring some specifics up in a minute, which, and another idea that I suppose it's again a specific idea to myself. Some other people may have come up with the same idea. Sorry, these things make my ears itch. So, let's start with meditation. Oh, and then we've got if you do shamanic work, you can work, discovering and your ancestors that way as well. There's so many different ways. It all depends on what's the most comfortable for you to work with, how which is most comfortable. If you're not really comfortable or confident within meditation, you could pick something else. It's entirely up to you. It's just options. So meditation, shamanic journeying, that's the word I was looking for. Stones and crystals, dreams. When you're doing dreams, what I like to do, I say what I like to do. The problem is, these days, whatever dreams that I've had, I don't remember anything. My sleep pattern is so messed up. It's just unbelievable. So when I do sleep, everything just goes black for a little while, and then I wake up later on. So, but if I was doing it more consciously, then I would ask for my ancestors to connect with me in that dream world and see what we could work out like that. Have we got? Oh, there's more. So, and we don't have to be. We can make we could do ceremonies. There's so many different things. And when we first start talking to them, we don't. It's like everything else. To me, everything. It's all this. It's like everything else. You don't have to do big things straight away. You don't have to ask big questions straight away. You don't have to ask, just introduce yourself to begin with. We don't. Okay. It's like this. I have a lot of stones and crystals. You may already know this, but they didn't all come at once. You start off small and then you work up. The more confident you become, then the more you can work with them. First, introduce yourself. Hello, it's me. And on from there, then you can. Actually, that's quite a good idea. Now, come to say it, it would be good to introduce yourself. They probably already know who you are anyway, but introducing yourself it is quite a formal act. It's formal, and something else popped into my head. It's falling out again. Stupid brain. It's a respectful act. They are our ancestors after all. So, that would be a good thing to do. I must remember that one. I'm going to write that down later. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so start small and build up to the bigger work that you end up doing further down the line. Don't worry about trying to fix everything all at once. I mean, a lot of ancestral work you'll find written about talks about ancestral healing, ancestral patterns, etc., etc., etc. I'm not talking about those right now. This is just first contact in Star Trek parlance, so we say. So now apart from the meditation and the dream part of it and the shamanic stuff, etc., one of my favorite things is working with stones and crystals who can help us get there and be that initial connection, to help us make that initial connection to our ancestors. So, which ones? Because there's hundreds of thousands of different options out there. Well, I'm going to give you two specifics to begin with, which are mine, and there's a thingy there that says there's more messages. Rob's talking a lot about what he's done. I'm not going to bring all those up and read them out. You read them, because otherwise I'll get sidetracked. You know what I'm like. No disrespect, Rob, but you know what I'm saying. But I'm going to bring that up because that is, yeah, first contact with your ancestors. Yes, indeed. See, I'm so easily sidetracked at the moment. My brain goes here and there and everywhere. So I am going to talk about two stones. Notice I didn't say crystals. Two stones that, for me personally, there are others, but these particular two, for me, for my ancestry, work very, very well. So, the first one, which will be of no surprise to you whatsoever, is this one. Does this do solos like the other one did, Neshi? I don't know. I don't understand that. It's there. But anyway, I don't get it. What if I click that? Huh. What if I click that one? Nope. What if I click that one? Huh. Oh. Oh well. Let's just put that there like that. So, we all know, well, at least I know, that, oh, if I did that, oh no, then you wouldn't hear me. Oh no, never mind. This is weird. So for all those people out there in the whole world that don't know, this is a piece of Preseli bluestone. I'm going to bring up this one as well. Oh, so what if I do, because my face looks weird there. Anyway, that's another piece of Preseli bluestone. The one on the left is a piece of rough raw. That piece was, I know the guy that dug that out of the ground the week before I got that, and this is a polished sphere piece. I don't know why I'm doing that with the cursor, because you can't see that, only I can see that. I'm making the cursor go around like that because I'm pointing it. Anyway, now I'm going to bring that one down now. Now there's the specifics of this for me is entirely because hover mouse over. What do you mean you're getting old? Hover mouse over the left upper corner of the picture. Oh, left. Oh, I'm going back to this one. Because I couldn't figure out the thing. Okay, computers just weird me out. Anyway, so Preseli Bluestone. This only occurs in the Preseli Hills in Wales, so it specifically goes right to my Welsh ancestry. And yes, Rob, where's Rob's? Because there we go. That's the stuff Stonehenge is made from. It's the stuff that part of Stonehenge is made of. The Preseli Bluestones form the inner circle of Stonehenge. They're big trilithons and megaliths. That's sarsen, which is a really dense sandstone, which I think was 40 miles away from the site of Stonehenge, something like that. Anyway, which was something I was going to come on to a bit later as well. So yes, so for me, this stuff directly to Wales, directly to my Welsh ancestry. We've got the connection with Stonehenge, which is one of my favourite places in the whole world. I just love that place. So, for me, working with this one for the ancestors is just perfect. Now, when you read the literature, which you know you've all seen a lot of the you've probably all got the Crystal Bible series. You've probably got other bits. You've probably read stuff on the Tinterweb, etc., etc. You still there, Jane? Um, ba, 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 ba. What was I saying? Anyway. So yeah, so there we go. Back to the literature. Yeah, the literature, for what all that I've read, doesn't mention connecting with your ancestors with this one. There is something in there, if I remember correctly, about the ancient ones of blah blah blah. But as a specific stone to connect with the ancestors, this one isn't mentioned. Now, for me, it works. It feels right. So, Jane's still here, by the way. What am I talking about? My brain's just frozen. So, connect with the ancestors. Now, I'm going to. So, you can understand that there's a specific reason why I chose this one to work with in ancestral connection. I want to bring up, I'll get rid of that one, and bring up this small pile here. This is a stone that you can pick up anywhere in the world, and it's just lying on the ground. It's flint. Now, again, this as a stone to connect with the ancestors, to me, is absolutely perfect, because no matter where you are, flint was a stone that our was our ancestors knew this stone intimately. It was used and formed into tools by pretty much everyone, as I understand it. Everyone. So wherever now, again, as the literature states, connecting with the ancestors is not part of it. Is not one of its attributes. I suggest respectfully that it is. The flint knew our ancestors, and our ancestors knew flint. It was one of the most important commodities that they had. I don't like the word commodity, but it'll have to do. I can't think of another one. It was used, it made axes, it made knives, it made arrowheads, and all sorts of things. It was used in so many different ways. It was so important to our early ancestors. There's what as from what I can gather, it's one of the earliest things that was mined. There's a place in Norfolk called Grimes Graves that it's a flint mine, and they dug shafts down. They dug down, pulled out the flint nodules, and they shaped them and worked them and used them, and they were traded. Yes, I'll go with that one. Gift rather than commodity. Yeah, that'll do. It's still better. Um, so this for me is another ideal one to work with, and it's one that you don't have to go into a store and buy. It's not. It's everywhere. It's you don't have to spend a lot of money seeking out and buying a rare specific stone. It's just there. It's everywhere. And this one, in my experience, because I will speak from experience, will help you with connecting with our ancestors without any problem, because they were so connected. You get what I'm saying? So now, like I say, the literature mentioned nothing of the ancestors with it, but that doesn't make any sense to me. To me, I can't express it how I'm trying, how I want to. I just, but it's so. It's there. It's our ancestral stone, everybody's ancestral stone. Which brings me to another point. Shall I get rid of that? Or should I just bring it down? Or shall I switch? I don't know. I think the stones look nicer than my face. You know. Let's do that. Let's just see. I'm too busy at the moment to think of anything better. That'll do. Yeah. Gift is fine. So. What am I talking about? So, that was it. Brain back on track. So, if okay, let me start afresh. Our ancestors knew various stones. All those stones knew our ancestors. Forget about what the literature may tell you. If you are drawn to a stone or a crystal to work with the ancestors, to connect with the ancestors, then that's the right stone to use. The stones and crystals have been here longer than we have. They have watched us grow into this high-tech modern society. They've witnessed everything that's gone on, not just between us and the earth, but everything around us. They've witnessed everything. So, I mean, I'm going to bring this one up because it's cool. That piece of Preseli bluestone was was there before, well, not there on that spot, but in the Preseli Hills in Wales, while my ancestors were roaming around there. That piece of Preseli bluestone was there in Wales before anybody's ancestors were roaming around there. And that's a point that I feel is missed when ancestral work is spoken about with stones and crystals, is that they've all been here. They all know what to do. They can all help us. We just need to we need to decide for ourselves which one to work with. The one we're most comfortable in working with. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So, in many ways, don't worry about what I'm telling you. Don't worry about what anybody else is telling you. Don't worry about what the book's telling you. It doesn't matter if it's a piece of flint or a piece of sandstone. It doesn't matter if it's a piece of quartz or a piece of phosphosiderite or anything else for that matter. If it's right for you, then it's right. Because they were all here and our ancestors knew them and they knew our ancestors. Now, I suppose the next part is if I'm going to just go down the stone and crystal line because that's where one of my most confident routes is that how do we how do we work with the stones and crystals to make that connection with the ancestors, with the ancestral line that we're looking for? I'm going to, I suppose I should do this, shouldn't I? Oh God, that's terrifying. So how? How? Well, I am going to repeat myself as I usually do. Oh, let me just back up a minute. I just noticed this. Jocelyn said, Stonehenge stones, are they the ones in Scotland? No. Unless there are some up in Scotland. But if you're talking about the ancient stone circles in Scotland, they are the stones are more local to that area, to the areas around Scotland. Stonehenge itself. Now, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Stonehenge came from Wales, and the Sarsen stones, which were, I think it said, about 40 miles away from the site. But whereas the ones from Scotland that were made in Scotland were from Scottish stone. I'm not sure what that stone was. I've not really looked into those much. I suppose I should really. I think I will. Okay, so now. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to bring this up from Neshi. A brilliant idea to use flint. Everyone had access to some sort of flint as an indigenous people from all over the world. They had it. Yeah, exactly. So flint is just, it's there. And you could be just walking along somewhere and there'll be a bit. You don't have to do anything, just pick it up. Or rather, just ask if it's okay to pick it up. When I say ask, I don't mean people, I mean the stone. Which, oh, what? Ah. Uh, oh, yeah. So, right. So, to be use a stone or a crystal, be respectful to begin with. I don't just jump in and go hold a stone or pick it up, whatever, and just try and punch through and start making that work happen. From my perspective, you have a word with the stone first. Talk to it, ask it, is it okay? Would it help me find or work with this particular ancestral line to seek out the knowledge, the wisdom that I'm looking for the to seek the answers. You get the idea. I see each stone and crystal individually and collectively as a being in and of its own right, as an entity in its own right. It's a living being in and of itself. It's got its own spirit. Look at what Tesla said. What was it he said? I'll find the quote later. Crystals are living beings at the beginning of creation, I think he said. Something like that. He was pretty well up on that, actually. Anyway, for a scientist. Mind you, he was a bit odd, apparently. Or was he? Anyway, so that's exactly right, Rob. To command is rather rude. He's not just rather rude, he's totally rude. Invite, that's a much better word than I was looking for. Or it might have been the word I was looking for and I just couldn't find it. Yes, ask if they're willing to work with you and be respectful. And things work so much better when you do that. With no matter what stone crystal you're working with, or tree, or anything else, with the water, with the air, talk and ask permission, ask for help, but talk to them and be respectful, and it just goes so much easier. As humans, we've been told for centuries that we have to impose our will upon the earth, etc. And look what he's done. But anyway, that's another whole other argument. But anyway, so hold it, talk to it, ask it. If you feel that it is saying yes, let's do this work, away you go. If you feel that it's saying no, I'm not the one, then ask if it can guide you to the stone, the crystal that can help you, and you will get there. It's the work you do, regardless of what work it is, the work you do when you're working with stones, crystals, trees, water, air, fire, the earth, the gods, the goddesses, the spirits, no matter who it is you're working with, that work is always a collaboration. And we need to remember that is what it is. It's a collaboration between you and the stone, which will be then guide you to you and your ancestors, or anything else. I mean, that's that's the thing for me that I work with, with whatever work I'm doing, but specifically for this show, the ancestors. You get where I'm coming from. Apparently, I'm running out of time. So, any questions? We've got a minute and a bit, I think. To if anybody's well, mind you, I say a minute and a bit, but it not necessarily, because if you've got any questions and you go on the Starstone pagey thing, then any other questions could be there. Yes, Jane, that is a very important point. That happens a lot to me. They are be observant with wherever you are, with whatever you're doing. A lot of people talk about mindfulness these days as a technique, etc., and it's something we should always be doing anyway, and be always done. It's just got a new name now. But yeah, just observe where you are. Be careful. But if you are working with a stone, if you're working with it there in a place and leaving it behind, that's all right. You work and you go away. If, and I'm going to say, like me, want to take that stone home with you because you love it so much, because I love them all, do ask permission first, not only of the stone itself, but of the land, the spirits of the land of where you are. If they say no, leave it there, then leave it there. If they say, yeah, okay, and the stone says, yeah, okay, okay, take it away with you, work with it some more. But if the time comes when you're no longer to work with that stone, take it back. Or if you can't take it back to that spot, then at least return it to the earth. And that's the thing. So yeah, hope that's been of some use. I hope I've made some kind of sense somewhere along the way. I apologise for my face. It has been quite horrific. It's scaring me. I don't scare that easily. There we go. So, I think I should say ta-ta for now. It's great to have you all with me. Thank you for joining in, Jane and Rob and Jocelyn and Neshi. And I know Polly Joe was there, at least for a little while. And yeah, so anything else, drop me a line on the page and I will do my best to help you out. So, I shall say adieu and I will see you soon. I'm just going to bring that up because Nisha said it was a great show. Ross says thank you. There you go. So, until next month, which will be something else, I don't know what yet. I'll see you soon. See you out there in Tinterweb land somewhere. Okay, bye everybody. Have a great and glorious rest of the day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.